is physical addressing or your 911 address. I don't even know where to begin, so I'm probably going to be long-winded about this and all over the place, so bear with me because I had to write it down because there's a lot of things to say about this. Okay, so when I first moved in here 30 years ago, we utilized a 3-line address. There were no issues. There were no problems, okay? Everything was going great. We had the mailroom. Little fun fact, when I moved in 30 years ago, I bought my house. Nobody told me about our unique situation that we have here that, figures it was me who moved into a place that the only place in the United States is right here. And I'm waiting at my house for my mail. And finally, after about 1-2 weeks, I go to the administration building and I'm like, okay, I have my box in front of my house. Where's my mail? And like, why isn't it coming? And who do I contact? And what do I do? So they're like, oh, no, we have a mailroom. And I'm like, what? Now, being from Long Island, I'm like, what do you mean? You're not bringing it to my house? I mean, this is just, I've never heard of a highway contractor. I was very vocal in my local post office. I mean, 6 years old, I asked so many questions, they kicked me out of it there. And I just, I didn't understand why I wasn't getting my mail. So they said that we have a mailroom and you need to use your mailing address, which is a box number. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Where do I start? A long, long time ago when Hemlock was first invented, we used to have addresses before we had the mailroom, and they were like HC3, which is my route number, and it would be like box 8638. That was it used to be called a Star Highway route. So then they switched when they went over to the firehouse, and they switched to box numbers where you would use your 1000 Hemlock Farms, 1001 Hemlock Farms, and so on. No physical addressings. Hemlock Farms, from the get-go, the United States Postal Service does not recognize your legal address that's utilized with your physical address. So it was just a 3-line address. Just a short note. I know some of you are thinking, like, why don't we attach your physical address to your mailbox number? Unfortunately, we can't do that because the way Hemlock gives out the mailboxes, say there's 5 families in here, they all have the same name or maybe another name added on. Those 5 families all want to be in one mailbox, just say 2504, but there's 5 different physical addresses. They only want to pay the $40, or for whatever reason, there's one matriarch that picks up all the mail. We cannot attach your physical address to your mailing address because of the way Hemlock gives out the mailboxes. This is beyond my realm how they do it. I work for the United States Postal Service. I don't work for Hemlock. It's their gig. They own the mailboxes. So matching it up and putting it in the database would not work. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I thought it was an important fact, and I just wanted to add that note. In 2009, addressing requirements have changed. Revisions on the automation machines were implemented where they needed to start to use a 4-line address because of what was coming in 2010. In 2010, 911 addressing came into play. Hence, the cluster you know what. So it came into play because Pike County needed to use their 911 physical addressing. So, God forbid you needed an ambulance and you were called, everything needed to be crossed over. They couldn't send the ambulance to 2504, they needed to send it to 103 Rodeo Drive. They needed to do this. So at that time, technology was changing with the United States Postal Service. Automation became more prevalent. Other private communities were assigned a box number, such as outside of our gate, Gold Key, Sunrise. They were utilizing their physical address with their box number. But it was not the same kind of system that Hemlock uses. So how we ended up not using our physical addressing is when we were kind of like the test pilot, and when we were mapped out, we go by block, lot, and stage. And Lori Mordente, I believe, was fabulous doing all this. And when we submitted this to the 911 comm center, our block lot stage map fit so eloquently over the Pike County tax map that it was decided by the previous community manager as well as 911 comm center that we did not need to go to 911 addressing. Now you have to remember, at the time, packages still weren't prevalent. Yes, we got more than we had now. When I took over the mailroom, you all know I said before we only had like 250 mailboxes. We were still growing. We were still able to find you. UPS started to come into play. FedEx started to come in play when we got more and more. Every single month they got a cross-reference sheet from administration where you could see the UPS driver or the FedEx sitting in the Gateway parking lot, and they would cross-reference their packages. We had a fabulous UPS driver who knew everybody. He didn't even have to look at the sheet, and he knew exactly, oh, Hana McKenna's getting potty hard again. Let's go to 103 Rodeo Drive and give her all her stuff because I wrote just 2504 Hemlock Farms on it. So he was phenomenal. Then, of course, it came into play later on where it wasn't cost effective for UPS to do this. Bob had retired, much to all of our sadness, and packages still weren't crazy yet. We still didn't go through the COVID period, but they decided that they were not going to cross-reference. United States Postal Service never cross-referenced. So we're in 2010, and we don't have to use physical addressing. So what happened is that if you did need to utilize a 4-line address, which came into play, you need to put your physical address above your mailing address. Now remember, we're a centralized location, so nobody really knows what we are, like a vendor, a shipper, or any company, unless you tell them. So if I'm shopping somewhere and I'm shipping something and I just tell them 2504 Hemlock Farms, oh, and they say, well, we can't ship to a P.O. box. Well, this isn't a P.O. box. Like, if I don't let them know what my physical address is, back then it didn't matter. I got my package no matter what. It's when last July UPS decided that they were not going to cross-reference anymore is when you know what hit the fan. So anyway, if you're going to utilize a 4-line address, the Postal Service reads from the bottom up. Now say you have informed delivery, and I hear this every single day. First of all, if you have informed delivery, if you read the disclaimer on the bottom, it could take up to 2 weeks until you get that mail piece that you see. On the automated machines, which is probably like, you're not listening to me anymore because there's too much knowledge I'm throwing at you, but the passes through the machines go 3 to 4 times. The first time your mail goes through the automation machine, it picks up, ooh, 18428. So that's when it takes the picture, and that's when you get it on your informed delivery. When it goes past the second and the third and maybe the 4th time is when it zones in. So if you have your physical address above, and if the machine's reading 18428, then it's reading Hawley or Lords Valley, PA. Then it reads the next line right above it, and it says 103 Rodeo Drive. Where's that? It's not in my postal database. Okay? It doesn't exist in the HC3 book that designates the machines. Okay? Which I'll get to another subject in a minute. So it shoots it out, and it returns it to sender. There are times that I may get it where the machine has a moment and it says, oh, well, I don't want to send it back to sender, but maybe. And then I'll get it in something called residual letters, where the other letters are all in order. And I have to look at it and be like, And then those are the letters that you see that I stamp up. Advise your correspondence, I cross it off, or I'll write, please correct, thanks Hana, with a little heart on it. That's me. And I'm just telling you, heads up, fix your stuff, because there may be a chance that you don't get it. So if you're going to utilize it, I'm stressing to everybody, use the correct format. You don't need your physical address on your letters. You don't need the word P.O. box. These are not P.O. boxes. Your mail's going to get misdirected on the machine. Do not use the word box. It's not a box. Don't use a hashtag. Hashtag means P.O. box. So now that we have 911 addressing in place, okay, we don't have to utilize it. To be honest with you, I used to blame the Postal Service. And I also used to blame Hemlock Farms. Well, it's their system, why can't they fix it? And we have 33 streets. It's not the Postal Service or Hemlock Farms. It is the 911 comm center, just the facts, that designate if we're going to be using our physical addresses or not. When we went through these changes just recently, I spoke with Bernie Schwartzwood, and he said to all of us, to management, Sean, my postmaster boy, myself, and the posse that we were working with, and he says, you're trying to fix one can of worms, but you're opening 100 other. Do not use physical addressing. So 911 comm center, squash that, which we already told you in the last video, and they said, it's not broke, don't fix it. Your packages are... So if you listen to me and you put, I want you to get your mail, I want you to get your packages. If you're one of the 33 streets that we have in the 18428, put your physical address next to your first name. This way, you're not making a mistake. The shipper, the vendor is not making a mistake, which I believe, like 75% of the time, it happens. And the reason being is because they'll drop one address. They think that they know better than you about what your address is. So when you're putting your address in, they're like, oh, it doesn't look right. I'll just make it 2504 Appaloosa Drive. Because their database is not updated. They're a small company. They're not, like Amazon's in with the Postal Service. Every 30 days, it updates. That's why sometimes you even see catalogs. Like you move, like say I move to another box number, like 1007. You'll see, I won't get my catalogs anymore at 2504 because that company, LL Bean or Land's End, is all, and Pottery Barn, they know where I am at every second, they already updated to what it is. So basically, I told you how to do it. I can go into farther detail about this. I can bore you to death with all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I really want you to pay attention to the articles that are upcoming in the Hemlock News about addressing. I want you to pay attention to anything that Hemlock Farms community communication department puts out. Listen to them. I'm feeding them their information. I'll answer your questions. I'll do anything that needs to be done to help you facilitate all of this. And I want you to get your mail is the basic thing. Help me help you make it easier for you. Yes, we have this format. Yes, is it ever going to wipe? I don't know. I'm probably going to keep on trying until I die. Like I said, this is the way it is, unfortunately. And you're all probably like thinking, well, things change. Things can be changed. Yeah, they can be, okay? But house-to-house delivery is not going to happen. It would take 5 to 6 of me. And they would consider us a new community. The growth department of the United States Postal Service would make Hemlock put cluster boxes. The window hours, when I talk about that next week and I answer your questions, that will explain it to you more in detail about how this could really work. It's not Hemlock Farms community that needs to get up with the times. It's not the Postal Service that needs to get up with the times. It's just figuring out how to go from part-time community to a full-time community and get the things that the members need to them in a timely fashion. But in the interim, helping us help you do that, you need to really listen to what we're telling you about how to address your mail, how to address your packages, and things would work easy. In closing, I just want to remind everybody, go to that jot form on Hemlock Farms Community Association. Fill it out. Ask us your questions. I can't stress this enough. If you don't ask the questions, if you don't participate, if you're not there for us to help you, I don't know what it is that you're asking of me. So thank you all for watching my long-winded video. And if you have any other questions for 911, if you can't go on the jot form because you're not computer literate or you just don't have the ability to do that, come and see me. I'm here. I'm behind the scenes most of the time. I'm quiet when I'm working, which most of you don't see me. But I'm still here. Bob is usually at the window. Melissa and I are usually putting out the mail. Charlie be working Fridays and Saturdays because he's getting old and he's just tired. And he's probably going to be busy detailing cars from what I hear. Thank you for utilizing the United States Postal Service and take care.